Hey, and welcome to the Outdoor Quest Zoomcast. I'm TJ Schwenke, and on today's episode, we have what I like to call my most expensive friend, but my good buddy Jeff Eno. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing good, TJ. How are you?
I'm doing well. So Jeff hails from up in the Yukon, and the reason I call him my most expensive buddy is because Jeff has a habit of finding the coolest hunts around the world, and then I just have to go do them, with the most recent being a desert sheep hunt in Mexico. So you're kind of on a little bit of lockdown up in the Yukon, aren't you?
Yeah, we are, TJ. The lockdown up here isn't as severe as it is in other places, but right now we got the territory closed to non-essential travel. They're allowing essential travel in, but for guys like myself that live out in the middle of nowhere, I can still get out, do some hiking, do a little canoeing and stuff like that. So I can't complain too much. But having said that, I hope this all comes to an end sooner than later.
Well, Jeff is one of those guys who just loves to travel the world and hunt. And you're probably the most confusing guy when you talk to outfitters because you really have no rhyme or reason what you go hunt. You hear about a cool hunt and you go.
Yeah, I think like my hunting resume is kind of a mess. There's no there's no defined paths to any of the trips I've been on. I just do a little research, or I hear about something from somebody else, and or come across some sort of obscure location and start to look things up. And next thing you know, I find myself on a plane headed somewhere.
Well, I think that's the cool thing, and that's I think why we really click. Is I'm the same. I've got no real interest in collecting slams or anything else. It's just, man, that's a cool hunt. That's a cool experience. Let's go do that. And if you look behind you, that's you've got a really cool experience right there.
Yeah, that's alpine ibex that I was lucky to hunt in Switzerland last year, and that came up out of nowhere. A friend of mine from over there contacted me and said that he had a rare permit for an old ibex that they wanted hunted. The trick was, could the hunter be over there in a short period of time? So, yeah,
And what was short?
long 3 days. They needed somebody over there. It was kind of a wild thing, and at the time, it was the dead of January. Work was slow. It was 30 below here, and I thought, you know what? I think I could probably make this happen.
So you're probably the only
So,
guy I've ever known who's gone and hunted ibex in Switzerland on 3 days' notice. So
yeah, well, it's I was very fortunate I was able to do it, and it was a really fun experience. It's interesting how they manage their game over there. The forest rangers identified this goat up in the mountains as too old to survive the winter, so they wanted it hunted rather than have it expire up there. And they couldn't guarantee it would be in the same spot in 3 days. So even though he's an old goat, he was still able to move. And yeah, so they got a hold of me, and off I went.
so this whole COVID thing kind of really shut you down in March, didn't it? You had a pretty amazing hunt booked.
Yeah, I did. Myself and a friend of mine, Rob Brown, who you know very well, we were slated to head over to Pakistan, up in the northern areas, hunting blue sheep and Himalayan ibex. And what happened was COVID. Pakistan shut down, Canada shut down, and we all know the rest from there. So it's the permits are still there, the hunt's still booked. We're just waiting for a time to do it after all this hysteria dies down a little bit.
Well, hopefully sooner than later, because I know blue sheep is one of those things I've dreamt long about too. So I definitely want to hear about that experience.
Yeah, it's been one that's been on my list since I was very young. I watched a documentary about blue sheep ages ago, and I said to myself, man, one day I got to go over there and hunt one of them. So
So
it's not
yeah,
going to happen this year.
so tell me a little bit about just how you started hunting and then how you got the international bug.
Well, I've hunted. My dad, my grandpa, everyone in my family's always been hunters, but primarily upland birds, waterfowl, deer, that type of thing. I grew up in northeastern Ontario. There wasn't a whole lot of options for big game hunting up there other than bear, deer, and a little bit of moose if you could get a tag. So what happened was I simply ended up moving out Western Canada for work. Really, really took to really got the bug for mountain hunting. I went on my first sheep hunt and thought, man, this is where it's at. And from there, I just started hunting out in Western Canada, and met some friends down in the States and hunted with them down there, British Columbia, Alberta, Yukon, and Northwest Territories. And the more people I was hunting with, I started meeting these guys that were traveling all over the world, hunting different game in different areas. And I just got the bug, kind of through osmosis from guys like yourself, actually.
Well, I know we'd been friends on Facebook a long time and through social media and chatted, but it was actually in Poland that we met for the first time of all places.
Yeah, that was a great trip. We got over there and had what I would say an obscure location to have a great hunt like that. And it was great. It was a fun hunt, and I enjoyed it immensely. And that's where I got to meet you and Vanessa. And I think we hit it off pretty good, although you might regret it now.
Oh, no, not at all. Well, other than the expensive part of our friendship, but no, you're a great guy to share camp with. So yeah, that was pretty cool. We started in Poland. We hunted stags there. We hunted mouflon. Then we moved over to Romania, hunted chamois. And Eastern Europe, to me, is one of the most, I think, overlooked but amazing hunting places. Prices are really cheap in the scheme of international hunting. There's more free range hunting than I ever imagined there was in Europe. And the people are pretty cool over there.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's, when you go on those hunts, like, for example, the chamois hunt that we did in Transylvania and Romania, you get to go to places that are not necessarily on the tourist guidebook.
Way off.
When you're going on these, so you get to meet some authentic people, see some authentic locations. You're not going to be in some restaurant that serves North American food. You're going to be eating local cuisine. And I think that's the best part of the experience, to be honest.
Well, and funny story about the food in Romania. We were staying at a very, very small hunting lodge owned by just the most wonderful couple. And he spoke about 50% English and she spoke about 1%. And so the very first day we were there, she made us just this amazing Romanian meal. I mean, she went out in the backyard, got eggs, and I'm sure they butchered their own hogs in the back. And first day he comes to us, he goes, I am so sorry. My wife, she is just a peasant. She doesn't cook well. I could take you to a nice hotel in town. And we're all like, no, this is incredible.
Exactly. I mean, it was exactly what I was hoping to experience over there. And it was awesome.
Well, it was amazing too. Like all the guides were there and the hunt masters and things like that. And they all had their own schnapps that they made at home. And they were very proud of it. And you had to try some of it all.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing quite like some high test local moonshine on the ride home to your hunting lodge after spending 14 hours hiking in the mountains. It hits you pretty hard.
Those are the kind of experiences that you really remember from hunts, are they? Like I think a lot of people think we hunt to kill animals, and yeah, we do hunt to take animals, but that's not all what it's about.
No, not at all. I mean, that's certainly a part of it, but I've had some of the best hunts I've ever been on is hunts where we've gotten skunked. And, the success isn't necessarily defined by taking an animal. There's a whole lot of moving parts to a hunt that make it good, and conversely make it bad too. But, it's all about the entirety of the experience, in my opinion.
I think once you start traveling overseas, you really start to get that bug because, you can go as a tourist and see all the tourist spots. But like you pointed out, when you go as a hunter, you live right in the homes with people. You get to see what happens every day in their lives.
No, absolutely. When I was in Mongolia last year, I just crashed in some little room in some farmer's house in this little wee village, in the Altai Mountains. And it was awesome. There was not a hotel to be seen anywhere. Absolutely nobody spoke English. They were the nicest, most hospitable people. And I got, immersed in the culture over there. And it was awesome. For a little while, I forgot I was on a hunting trip.
So not to offend any of our American friends, but I always hear everywhere we go, Canadians are so easygoing. And I think to do the type of hunting that you do, or that Vanessa and I enjoy do, you do need to be easygoing. You have to go with the flow, because if you get too uptight about stuff, it's just going to ruin the trip.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, when you go somewhere like Romania, for example, or somewhere far off the beaten path, you have to trust your guides. You have to trust the hunt organization, the outfitter, because they know what they're doing. They want you to succeed. There's no point in being difficult or trying to fight it. Go with the flow, and my experience is you'll be successful and have a great time every time.
And there's going to be things go wrong along the way. Like there's always screw ups when you go Asia, Europe, places like that. And if you can just kind of let them flow by, it'll all work out in the end. What's the big saying that every guy there that doesn't speak a word of English knows 2 words?
No problem.
Yeah, exactly. And it never is. Like, it always works out.
Yeah. They always get it done. I mean, they always put on, you go with the right outfitter, the right guides, and there's enough resources out there for people to do the research. And if you do all that right, you go with the right guys, you're always going to have a good time, and there will be no problem.
So speaking of research, how do you do your research for a hunt?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's talking to people like yourself, TJ. I mean, you've been all over the place. I've relied on you quite a bit for a lot of information. Lots of research on the internet. And I'm old enough that I still use books and that type of thing too. I have a couple of, big game animal encyclopedias that I refer to from time to time and flip through the pages. I do a lot of reading of, Rashid Jamshid and those type of old time sheep hunters and mountain hunters, reading their books and seeing where they went and what they did. And it's just a whole bunch of, research into where the best locations are. And a lot of that is through guys like yourself and through a lot of internet and literary research.
You also go to a bunch of the shows in the US, the bigger hunting shows?
Yeah. I typically go to 1 or 2 of them every year. It's a good time to socialize. Some of the guys you see there, you only see them once a year, so it's nice to catch up. But yeah, that's another great place to get some information. There's just a wealth of information. There's thousands of years of hunting experience in those convention halls, and lots of outfitters.
And there's just some really expensive walking around there. I know about 10 years ago, Vanessa and I were walking by a booth there, and here was this little tiny deer with little tiny antlers and fangs on it. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And I didn't even know what it was at that point, but I knew I wanted to hunt it. And we just did in January.
Yeah. And that, to flip it around on you, you're going to end up costing me some money, because I saw that episode, saw your photos, and now I want to do it. So.
And again, it was a super cool hunt. It was just, it wasn't about big antlers. It wasn't about anything else. It was experiencing a unique animal in a unique location. And I mean, even England, we always think of England as such an anti-hunting, anti-gun place. And once you get outside of London, it could have been rural Alberta. Like there's rednecks in England. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Well, it looked amazing. And I would love to experience that one day. Absolutely.
So, say you're talking to somebody who kind of wants to begin in a little bit of an international hunting career like you have. Kind of what advice would you give them other than save a bunch of money?
Well, yeah, get some money squared away. But like you pointed out earlier, TJ, I mean, compared to a lot of hunts in North America, a lot of these international hunts are fairly affordable, even for the working guy. With exceptions, of course, but there's definitely some good hunts to be had. The advice I would give people is that, do your research, find out what you want to do, find out what game species you want to pursue, do the research on them, talk to people like yourself, like you're very approachable, TJ. I mean, people could reach out to you and you'll be offering help in no time. But do a lot of research, get planning, and just do it, simply put.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that. And I think the biggest thing is keeping an open mind. I mean, it took a long time for Vanessa to convince me that we needed to go to Africa. I had this preconceived notion about what Africa was, as I think a lot of hunters do. And, that first trip turned into an expensive one, because we've been 10 times since then. And every trip has been different. And none of them have been that preconceived notion I had of Africa.
No, you're right, because there's a lot of people who think that, once you depart North America, that everything in the world's going to be a high fence, canned hunt or something like that. But it's untrue. There's a tremendous amount of fair chase, free range hunts to explore all over the world. And yeah, Africa, South Africa, and I was in Mozambique last year, and it was absolutely wild. And it's, again, go with the flow while you're there.
Okay, so you have to tell the story of your Mozambique hunt.
So I went to Mozambique to hunt Nile crocodile last year, and I knew it was going to be a wild adventure. I knew that because it was pretty far off the beaten path. I went with Jerry Theron of Theron Safaris, and he's a bit of a legendary outfitter, PH over there. And I mean, it was wild. We had it on the Lago Cahorabassa, the Zambezi River, and that place, I'm telling you right now, is absolutely infested with crocodiles. I've never seen anything like it. I've been to Northern Australia. I've seen lots of crocodiles up there, but this place, if you fall off the boat, you can kiss your butt goodbye. I'm telling you. And yeah, we ended up, we actually struggled for a while. The PHs did a lot of really good scouting. They had a couple of big crocs that were coming up to certain areas and sunning themselves every day. But when we got there, the crocodiles were playing hard to get. We were having a hard time getting them. They were swimming by, but staying out of range. And then on the last day of our hunt, we had this youngster paddled over on one of these dugout canoes and was speaking to our tracker in their local language. And then he came over and saw us and said, there's a big croc hanging around this little village, and they wanted to know if we want to come over and shoot it. So long story short, we get over there and the entire village is waiting for us. And we get there, to an entire troop of kids came with us. They're all wearing, multicolored, shorts and t-shirts and ball caps and all that, and we're all in camo, and it was a real motley crew. And they ended up pointing out this croc, and we looked at it, and unfortunately he was a small one, small by their standards. It was about an 8-9 foot crocodile, and Jerry was looking for a much bigger one than that. And as we were getting ready to leave, another kid came up to us and said, there's another croc. We ran back out there again, and we found this huge crocodile sunning himself up in this little mound of dirt in the middle of a swamp. And I took a shot at him, and it hit him pretty good, and he slid into the water and disappeared under a raft of lily pads. We get over there to recover this thing, and we're trying to figure it out. The young PH was in the water up to his waist, try to fish around for the tail, and all of a sudden the lily pads started moving in front of him. We hauled him out of the water, and this thing came out, and all I remember is a wall of teeth coming at us. And before you know it, every rifle we owned was going off. Boom, 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 boom. And this thing had turned out to be like a 14-foot crocodile, and it, we shot it right in front of us, about 2 meters away from us, and it was just absolutely wild. And the first shot hit him good, but those things are tough. And but anyway, it was a wild adventure. That is the hunt that I recommend to anybody. That is absolutely awesome.
So, of all the hunts you've been on, what's the one that surprised you the most? Hate to put you on the spot. But...
no, and that's a good question. If I had to pick one, TJ, I'd say Turkey. We went over hunting Bezor ibex in Turkey. I was completely surprised at the location where we went. I had no idea, on the specifics of where we were going to hunt. When my hunting buddy and I got there, we ended up at this, basically a resort town on the Mediterranean that looked like, a beach town, not a hunting destination. And next thing you know, the next day we get picked up by the guides, and I get hauled out to these mountains that were just like overlooking the Aegean Sea. And it was hot, and it looked like no location that you would ever expect to go hunt wild goats at all. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, where are these guys bringing me here? And next thing you know, there was Bezor ibex all over the place, and we had an incredible hunt. But at first sight, I had no idea that, that resort town would be a base for a mountain hunting expedition.
No kidding. That's cool. Like, isn't that amazing when stuff like that just surprises you?
Yeah, it was just crazy because I remember thinking to myself, I don't know if these guys, maybe there was a miscommunication, maybe they think I'm here to go fishing, but no, it was absolutely outstanding.
So, other than Pakistan, which you have to get back to and finish that hunt that COVID kind of put an end to, what's on the horizon?
You know what? Right now, TJ, we're in the pretty well midway through our spring bear season up here in the Yukon. So myself and a couple of guys have been going out a couple of nights a week looking for bears. We've managed to get a couple of them on the ground. So we're busy with that right now. Hunting wise, I'll be going down to Alberta in August on a mule deer hunt down there with Rob Brown. And then it'll be just the standard big game season up here, August, September, and October up in the Yukon for now.
For now.
who knows what opportunities might pop out.
Until somebody calls you 3 days from now with a good deal, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe.
So you just finished up your Capra Slam last year. And
yeah,
maybe explain a little bit of what that is.
Well, yeah, it was actually something that I wasn't even aware of when I started hunting mountain goats. And the Capra Slam is basically the first level of it is the taking of 12 international mountain goats. And starting for me was with the American mountain goat here in the Yukon. And after I hunted that animal here, I really started to do some research on, well, what other wild goats live around the world? So from there, I started to do some reading on chamois and ibex and that type of thing, and doing a few hunts here and a few hunts there. It wasn't until a friend of mine asked me one day, Jeff, how close are you towards your Capra Slam? And I said to him, well, what's that? I wasn't, I'm kind of like yourself. I'm not pursuing slams or awards or any of this thing, but yeah. So I ended up hunting, the turkey, Bezor ibex in Mongolia, chamois with you and Vanessa in Romania, chamois in Europe as well, in Austria and Macedonia. And before I knew it, I had the 12 species of mountain goats. And yeah, it was really nice to get that award, even though I really wasn't pursuing it. It just represents a whole lot of really good experiences hunting goats and mountain hunting around the world.
Well, you kind of went on a little chamois tour there last year, didn't you, in Europe?
Yeah, I did. A good friend of mine over there organized kind of a multi-species, multi-country trip, and started in Austria. Went from Austria, we hunted the Alpine chamois there. Then it was straight over to Spain, hunt the Pyrenees chamois in Spain, and that was absolutely outstanding. What a beautiful place that is. And then I was down to Macedonia for Balkan chamois down there. And that, maybe getting back to your question earlier, TJ, that might be an area that surprised me a heck of a lot there. That the hunting in Macedonia was absolutely outstanding. They have that organized, and those animals are so well managed over there. But yeah, we've got 3 species of chamois over there, and they threw in a mouflon hunt while I was over in the Czech Republic too, which was super cool.
And you killed just a giant mouflon on that hunt.
Yeah. We got really lucky on that one. We were, Czech Republic's known for big mouflon, and we were certainly expecting to get a shot at a nice one. That was always the plan. But at last light on our second day of hunting, we saw a real big ram. He was silhouetted. It was just about getting dark. We had just a bit of time, and luckily made a shot, got him, and he was just an absolute monster. And my guide has done a lot of hunting over there, and he told me it's the second or third largest one that they've ever taken. So
I believe it.
And it was free, yeah, and a free range too. It wasn't a high fence hunt. It was free range. The Jägermeister over there said he'd never seen that ram before. He doesn't know where he came from. So,
but isn't that awesome when
things like that happen?
Yeah,
it's incredible. Just incredible. And, that was one of those hunts too, TJ, where, it was a bit of a different style of hunting, and I was just letting my guide do his thing, going with the flow, letting it happen.
So you do a lot of hunting in North America as well. What would you rate a couple of your top North American hunts that are your favorites?
Oh boy, I absolutely love hunting mule deer. And the province of Alberta's got some absolute whoppers, as you know, and I absolutely love hunting mule deer, specifically in Alberta. Big deer down there. Desert sheep hunting in Mexico is one of my top experiences ever. I mean, I got to rank that up there too.
Yeah,
and I
was gonna say that sheep you took in Mexico was that sheep you took in Mexico was just unbelievable, and like I say, it turned into a very expensive picture for me, but I agree with you. That was one of the most amazing places. Now, you've hunted elk quite a bit too, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm hoping to hunt them more. I mean, we have a small herd up here in the Yukon that's on a permit hunt, and it's hard to get a tag. I mean, I try every year, but for me to hunt elk, I got to leave here, go to Alberta. Last year, I hunted elk in New Mexico. I drew a non-resident public land tag archery down there last year, and had a really great hunt, and ended up taking a really good bull. And yeah, archery hunting elk during the rut is, man, you've done it a lot. That's a rush.
So tell me the story about your bow in New Mexico.
Well, I had a limited amount of time. The tag was only good for 2 weeks, and I headed down there. I'm going to say midway through the first week. So we had about 8 days of hunting to get it done. I landed in Phoenix to catch my connection over to New Mexico, and I will not name the airline, but the airline lost all my luggage, including my bow. And when I say they lost it, they lost it. They had no idea where it was. The baggage tag, there was no reference to it. There was no idea where this stuff was. When I met up with the guides in New Mexico, I let them know via text while I was en route. And those two guys, they got to planning right away. And what we did was, I got there. The next morning, we headed to a archery pro shop, got a new bow, spent a couple hours shooting it there. One of the guides was about my size, so he lent me all his camo and his boots. And he even went down to the local store and he bought socks and underwear for me too. What a nice guy.
That is just going with the flow, isn't it, though?
Well, it is, and I was thinking about it, like, what are we going to do here? Do we cancel a hunt? And I'd spoke to yourself because I remember you drew that tag ages ago. And, drawing it again would be, when's that going to happen? I'm here now. Let's make this work somehow. And those two guys, my guides, they put a plan in place, and we ended up hunting really, really hard. I was a little nervous with a new bow, but my guide was really skilled, and that bow came into about 25 yards. And, luckily for me, it wasn't a difficult shot.
Good for you, though. I think a lot of people would have just thrown their hands in the air and walked away from that hunt. And, you got it done, with brand new equipment on one heck of a bull too. Well,
thank you. And it was at the end, all said and done, it was a great experience and it's a great story to tell. But at the time, man, it was getting stressful, and I was pretty angry at the unmentioned airline and the initials AC. And and I remember I've got one of these watches here that records your heart rate and all that stuff. And I screenshotted it a while ago, but on the day when my bow and everything was lost, and I was just talking to the airport personnel, the heart rate and the stress feature was like through the roof on this thing. But,
so did they ever find it?
But yeah, I got it back about I'm going to say about 3 weeks after I got home back here to the Yukon. and it ended up at the Lost and Found at the Phoenix International Sky Harbor Airport. And it was actually the guy at the Lost and Found at the airport that called me, not the airline, not anything.
Holy.
And he doesn't know how it got there. He just came to work one day and there was my bag and my bow case.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I don't know how that happened, but all is well that ends well.
It is. So the guy like you that travels so much, you got a couple top gear tips for us that you take on a hunt no matter what?
You know what? I mean, no matter what, I've always got, whether it's going to be a kind of a flatland hunt for mouflon or a mountain hunt, obviously a good pair of boots, good pair of hiking boots. You got to have that. And I wear them on the plane just in case, they lose my bags again. I'll at least have my hunting boots when I get there. And top gear tips. On the international hunts, I always bring a knife, but seldomly, normally I would say always, have a good knife with you on a hunting trip. But when you're overseas, those guys are well prepared, so they kind of, they won't let you touch the animal. But yeah, I always bring a good knife. I've got good hunting boots with me, and whatever clothing, obviously, for the environment you're going to be hunting in.
So I'll put you on the spot here a lot right now. If you had to pick one rifle to travel the world with, what cartridge would it be chambered in?
I really like, I've got a Tikka T3 light stainless that is my main hunting rifle, and it's in a 270 short mag, and I absolutely love that round. I find it's very versatile. It's nice to shoot, and it covers off a lot of species of game. If you're mountain hunting for something like chamois, or if you're in Alberta hunting those big mule deer and everything in between. And heck, I've even hunted moose with it up here, no problem. I really love that caliber.
Cool. Nope. It looks like we just lost Jeff's video feed.
Oh,
here you're back.
There we are.
must be that Yukon internet.
Oh yeah. I'm on satellite internet here because we kind of live off the beaten path, and for the most part, it works pretty good, but it has its moments.
So you've got your season starts up there August 1st.
Yes, sir.
And what are you going to be going after first?
I was just talking with my hunting buddy about that a couple of days ago, and I think we're going to go sheep hunting first. We're going to be hunting stone sheep up here.
Now you have to go a long ways for stone sheep. You have to go a long ways for stone sheep there from your place, don't you?
Well, there's a couple of spots kind of nearby, and then there's a couple of spots a little further by.
You do live in an amazing part of the world.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a long winter. If you're not a winter person, you'd go crazy up here. You have to enjoy, you have to be a little more self-reliant, I suppose, and not enjoy a big social life, which for a loner like me works out pretty good. But if you're into hunting, fishing, the outdoors, it's pretty tough to beat, for sure.
So you've been kind of practicing your whole life for the social distancing thing that came with COVID.
Yeah, my life hasn't really changed a whole lot.
No.
Just less people stopping by.
It's a pleasure as always, Jeff. And
thanks, buddy.
I hope your Pakistan trip comes together sooner than later. And there happens to be another Blue Sheep opening on that. You might know a guy to call.
I'll tell you what, I'll get working on that.
Sounds good. I want to thank you so much, Jeff. And you've got a Facebook page, World Hunt.
Yeah.
What it's called?
Yeah, that's right. I started a Facebook group about a year or so ago called Worldwide Big Game, and it's becoming fairly active. We got a few thousand members in there, and we try to get some hunters connected with each other. There's a lot of information about some international hunts, and there's lots of outfitters and PHs on there. So it's we welcome anybody who's into hunting and the outdoors to certainly join up.
Yeah, and if you want to see some of Jeff's great trophies, he posts most of them there as well. And I love that page. It's one of my favorites. And just seeing stuff from all over the world, I think just keeps me going every day.
I appreciate it, buddy. I really, really like that. And I back at you with your show. I've been watching you for years and years and years. And to me, the show is only getting better. Well done.
Well, now that we've gone through all that self-admiration of each other, I'm going to let you go now, but I want
mandatory.
Oh yeah, exactly. We'll have to do it over Jägermeister next time.
Now you're talking.
All right, Jeff, I want to thank you a lot, and good luck with the rest of your season, and I'm sure we'll be talking lots in the near future.
Well, thanks a lot, buddy. I appreciate you having me on, and take care and stay healthy down there.
We will do for sure. Thanks, Jeff.